Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. I'm Don C. Weber, back for another SANS ICS concept video. I'm joined by Gus Serino, Principal Industrial Hunter at Dragos. Thanks for joining me. Wanted to talk to you. You had mentioned that you've have some insight around Oldsmar, the things that happen there. And I think it's important to help people understand the concepts, what occurred, and some of the things that you think are important or found important out of that, and help everybody understand that. So can you give us a brief understanding of what occurred and what you think is important around that?
Sure, yeah, and I'll skip a lot of the details to get to the too long don't read pieces. The adversary gained access to the HMI at Oldsmar, essentially used HMI to turn up one of the chemicals, the sodium hydroxide chemical, to maximum.
So what is actually, what was Oldsmar again? I mean,
Oldsmar was a water utility in Florida around the time of the Super Bowl, a small water utility, and they had this incident where the operator observed, the mouse moving around on the screen and changing a number on the HMI, and that number was actually the set point for the sodium hydroxide chemical dose to go into the water. And so, luckily they were fortunate, right? The operator saw it right away, and they addressed it, and so there was no impact, but it could have been bad. Right?
So my understanding is that the threat actor modified the settings, but in actuality, the increase that they implemented by adjusting the set point wasn't actually achievable because of the amount of chemical that they had there. Is that true?
Absolutely true. It could never have got to the ungodly number. I can't remember what he set it to, but it doesn't matter because the controller would still go to 100%, and you don't know if the pump is oversized or whatever, so that maybe you could introduce so much chemical that there could be an impact. It's not unheard of that particular chemical, sodium hydroxide, can overdose and cause incidents, not cyber incidents. It's happened in, just operations mistakes in the past. In Spencer, Massachusetts, an operator left a pump in manual overnight. It filled a pipe with a slug of sodium hydroxide.
Excuse me.
No, that's okay. And when people got up in the morning and they turned on the water, they got burned, right? So 100 people were burned by sodium hydroxide.
So some people were impacted by it.
Yeah. So yes, you can't get to that high number, but if you're pumping chemical and nobody's picking it up, then that's a problem. And I think in Oldsmar, they didn't do a whole lot to defeat alarms that would also caught it, but they had the level of access that they could have. So if they were a more interested, capable adversary, they could have done much more to make this have an impact.
So was the fact that they were, because obviously that was a dangerous amount, and so that's that set point that was, should the HMI have been programmed to prevent that modification? Would that have been one of the methods for doing prevention?
Absolutely, that would be a good practice to limit on what set points can be entered and sort of what outputs can be used. But when you think about how these jobs get built with low bid, this is water, right? So it's public bidding, it's low bid. You have a systems integrator who's building it to the spec. They're just trying to get it in, get it done. It's not perfect, and then usually the utility themselves kind of tune things for quite a while after a system gets built. And if they don't have SCADA staff, it's just going to be what it is. And so, yes, that would be the answer. But are you going to catch everything that way? Maybe not.
It would have been something to consider. So what would be your, from your understanding, and I know that Dragos has put out some papers around it, did some research about the lead up to it, but what are some of the key takeaways that you want to relate to everybody?
So my key takeaway is, organizations need to think about those processes where they could have a real high impact or consequence, safety or product delivery, and where they find that they have, an unacceptable level of consequence, they can take specific actions to protect that. And in this case, right, so you have a really harmful chemical, you can, what I had posted in a blog at Dragos was, one answer to this is hardwired contact from the pH analyzer that's downstream of the sodium hydroxide pumps. When you get a high pH measurement on that pH signal, you can send a hardwired signal right to the pump drive itself to shut down the pump. then you don't care what the PLC or the HMI is telling it to do. You're literally mitigating any impacts that way. And I think that you don't want to do that everywhere because it costs money and it's complicated to do, but where you can really have a significant impact to public health and safety, that it might be a place to try.
Interesting. Yes. So, a consequent-driven analysis and approach to security consideration.
Exactly, and you don't need cybersecurity experts to do that. That's regular control system stuff.
And I say security, but we're also going back to safety. It's it's actually having a positive impact on the safety aspect.
Yep.
Right. Excellent. Well, hey Gus, thank you for joining us for another one of these, and you have a great time at the summit. And thank you everybody for joining us. Gus gave a talk earlier, so that should be up on the SANS ICS YouTube channel soon. So look for his talk as well. So thanks,
John.